Every day, about 70 women in Canada are diagnosed with breast cancer. But when it happens in your family, it feels as if it's a unique and horrible experience. When it happened to the Kerr family in Burlington, it meant the start of treatment for Kate and for her husband, Don, the beginning of a long road learning how to cope as a caregiver, supporter, father, and, of course, husband. He chronicles that experience in his new book, Riding Shotgun, a book for men and the partners they care for. And with that, we welcome author Don Kerr and Kate Kerr, who is the founder of Wake Up Kate, a mindfulness, meditation, consultancy, and it's a delight to welcome you both here. And let's do this full disclosure stuff off the top, shall we? You and I have known each other since we were kids.
Exactly.
We went to camp together.
Long time.
And haven't seen each other in years and years, and here comes this book out, and it's a fortuitous way of seeing you again, which is wonderful. Yeah. But we do need to start by telling this story, which had such a disastrous beginning to it. And Kate, I want to know off the top, how did you get the news that you were being diagnosed with breast cancer?
In a place you probably don't want to get news. I was at work and my cell phone went off. Didn't recognize the number, picked it up. And the voice on the other end said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm at work. Where else would I be?" And she said, "Well, can you get into a private room?" And at that point, the news was broken to me.
So by a receptionist, I guess?
By my doctor.
Oh, by your doctor, okay.
Yeah.
Over the telephone?
Yes.
Which, in your view, was not the greatest way to get the news?
No, it completely took me by surprise. So I really had no clue what was coming. And when it did, I was ushered into a private room. And then she actually broke down in tears.
Your doctor?
Telling me this news. So that was an unfortunate start, I would say.
Do you have any idea why the news was delivered so poorly?
Not really. I think.
Do they just, as a general rule, not know how to do this?
I can imagine it is not the nicest thing in the world to break the news. Hey, by the way, you've got a rare, aggressive, and advanced breast cancer. So it just wasn't handled very well in that moment. And I think she'd been breaking this news to a lot of people, actually. So I think she was a little tired. Yeah.
That's how you got the news. How did you get the news?
I got a call from the same doctor. I was in the driveway of Clanmore Montessori about to pick up my sons, who at the time were 2 and 4. And the doctor said, "I've just informed Kate that she has breast cancer." That's pretty much all I remember, Steve, of that moment.
Because everything after that was a blur.
It was a blur. It was a complete blur. I remember thinking, well, this is a really lousy way to find out about this, but because I'm totally helpless, and I can't, I've got to be in shape to pick up the boys and so on. So yeah, the delivery of the original diagnosis was unfortunate. From my perspective, it should have been a warning of what might come, of what we might come to expect from aspects of the medical community.
Meaning what?
Meaning that there are few people out there that we encountered at the outset of this who are equipped to deliver news of that sort effectively and empathetically. It may be a function of the clinical aspect of it. It may be a function, as Katie mentions, about they have to deliver the news again and again, and maybe they become inured to it. But I think that there comes a point when in the medical community we have expectations of them that you should be able to do this a little bit better.
A little better bedside manner,
exactly.
Particularly on news potentially of life and death.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's how you got the news, that's how you got the news. At what point did the two of you actually get together and start to, what do we do about this?
Unravel it.
Yeah.
I'll let you do that, Katie. You were just talking about
yes.
it.
So my gut reaction was to phone my parents, actually, and tell them to get our kids out of the house. I did not want my kids seeing me coming home in this way, in this manner from work. And so I know that Don was told separately by our doctor. And quite frankly, I arrived home, somehow managed to drive myself home, arrived home. My parents were kind of taking the kids away, taking them out of the house. And at that point, I think it was just Don and I, right? Everybody was gone. Yeah. And I was in shock. So the last words I remember hearing were from my dad, who said, "Okay, she's in shock right now." And that was sort of it. So there's this huge shock that settled.
How old were you at the time?
36.
You got a 36-year-old breast cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
And did you have any sense at that moment about mortality?
No, absolutely not. And
Did you assume from the get-go, oh, okay, well, we're going to treat this and move on?
No, in those, and in those few words where you're told news like that, your world completely changes forever, obviously. And your mortality is suddenly very present for you. And we were led to believe, actually, that there might not be a lot of hope. So for a few weeks, certainly the core family felt that there may be very little that we could do because the diagnosis was poorly managed as well.
I want to know more about that. So the initial news was you've got breast cancer and it's probably untreatable?
Rare and aggressive was the terminology that was used. Now, where it really hit the fan, from my perspective, was our first visit to the surgeon. And the first surgeon we went to visit was very matter-of-fact about this thing. He said, I think we went to meet with him on a Tuesday. We were on Lakeshore in Oakville. And he said, we'll get you in on Friday. We'll have a radical mastectomy. We may have to do some lymphectomy as well, but we'll get you in there on Friday and we'll make this happen right away. So that's what we're going to do.
It's a lot to digest all at once.
Just hold on a minute here. I remember leaving there thinking, that doesn't sound right. And then the tipping point for me was we were sitting in the car on Lakeshore, and Katie was wailing, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. That was the only thing I remember. And at that point, I said, no, this ain't going to happen this way. I remember for me, that really was the crossing of the Rubicon at that point. I said no.
That. But did you believe it when you said it?
Did I believe it that I said?
Did you believe when you said it's not going to happen that way? Did you really believe it?
Yeah. I did believe that Katie was, at that point, she was not going to go in on Friday and be amputated. That wasn't going to happen because I didn't have confidence in the news we'd received in the manner in which we'd received it. I was very lucky that I had a friend in a very senior position at the University Health Network in Toronto. I called her half an hour after that, and I said, Jillian, help. Can you get us in to see somebody at Princess Margaret? And she said, I'll call you back in half an hour. She called me back and she said, I've got you in to see Dr. Michael Redick. He's one of the leading guys in America on breast cancer. You're coming in next Tuesday, or whatever it was. And our world changed at that moment with compassionate care, understanding, and somebody who was able to take a look at the information and say, well, that's not necessarily the way I would interpret it.
And I'll, just to add to that, we both went from shock to scramble. So we went into massive scramble mode, reaching out. And the thing is, Don was the guy that reached out first, which is quite rare, right? So that's what he did. That was the beginnings of his caregiving role. That was that first moment where he just reached out. He picked up the phone and called someone, right?
We're obviously going to pursue this angle of your caregiving role, but it does raise, just this part of the story does raise questions about all of those who get the same diagnosis you do and don't have that person inside the healthcare system to call, to reach out to. What is their care like? Anyway, I'll leave that out in the ether. You've explained how the two of you found the news. How did you decide when and how to break this news, Katie, to your kids?
We were talking about this too. So, of course, the first reaction was get them out of the house. Don't want them seeing me in this way. To be honest, I think one of the things we did was we broke it in quite gradually. We read a couple of books, that helped us understand how do you break this kind of news to your kids. You can break it down into words and language that they understand, and so that was sort of a starting point for us. But we really quickly realized, as soon as you're thrust into chemotherapy, you cannot hide this from your kids.
No, because you're going to look different.
It's so in front of them and present for them. So that in effect was a good thing for us, because it enabled us to not have to hide anything anymore, have to not talk to them about it, to actually bring them into the world and that kind of thing. So
and how did they handle it when they saw Mommy start to lose her hair and all of that business?
You know, Samuel was just a wee lad. Gabriel was 3.5 or 4. So yeah, you know, it was a little strange for him. It was unusual, but they're so accepting of this kind of stuff. So, you know, it was all right.
That became sort of the new normal in the home.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don, I want to find out, okay, we're going to follow up on this caregiving role now, because I presume at this point in your life you had not had to be kind of a primary caregiver in the way that you would be to your wife ever before. Is that right?
That's absolutely true.
Okay. Having never experienced that kind of role before, how do you begin to get your head around it, take it on, champion it, etc.?
The first thing I will tell anybody who asks me about it, so I'm going to do it for you, is you have to acknowledge the fact that you don't know how to fix this. I keep telling people again and again and again that men seem to have this fundamental genetic flaw that I will fix this. I don't care what it is, I can fix it.
Because you're the man.
I'm the man, I'm the hero. You know, and I'll ride off on my horse and I'll fix this thing and so on. Well, you quickly realize that ain't gonna happen. It's just not going to happen. So I guess one of the things that I did early on was accept the fact that I was vulnerable in this situation, and accept the fact that I didn't know what to do, and that I was going to have to suck it up and ask for some help. So I started to go looking for help. And that was the genesis of the whole thing, because I couldn't find help.
What do you mean you couldn't find help?
I couldn't find help.
Lots
I
of
couldn't
people
find
go through this
resources. I couldn't find resources. I went looking specifically for stuff that catered to men who were in a situation such as I was, and I found very little. I found a few organizations online that didn't really give me much practical advice. At Toronto General, Katie had some psychiatric opportunity there, and I remember asking one of the people there, I said, is there something like this for the male caregiver? And he said, oh, no, there used to be, but we lost the funding for it because nobody really signed up for it. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Well, wonder why that is. And I think it is because most men, we don't want to do that. We just don't want to go there.
Well, I guess in fairness, I mean, and you're going to forgive me for putting it this way, but you're really the star of the show, right? You're the patient. It's all about you. It's dealing with your physical and psychological needs.
Yeah.
And the system is very much designed to focus on getting you better.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really take into account the spouse's role in any of this, does it?
No.
So you kind of have to make this up as you go along.
Pretty much.
Well, let's do a quote from the book here, because here's you talking about it. Very early on in this cancer trek, I experienced what I've since learned is a common phenomenon for men in similar situations. We attempt to disguise or hide or deny the genuine fear, hopelessness, and helplessness we experience. Our job is to be stalwart, brave, and stable. Our conditioning is to find a way to fix this, while remaining the solid foundation of emotional stability our wives, partners, and families require. Okay, so you've laid it out nicely there. Once you decide that you can't fix this, and that you, in essence, may have to kind of write your own template for this since it didn't already exist, what'd you do?
I started making friends. And that was one of the first things I did. I met some wonderful people through facingcancer.ca. In my search for resources and so on, I came upon facingcancer.ca, which was ostensibly a site for women who have cancer who don't want to look like they have cancer. It's run by the Look Good, Feel Better Foundation. But through that, I was introduced to a number of people who recognized what I was going through, and they started to give me an opportunity to write about what I was experiencing. I've been a writer since I can remember, and it's how I'm able to express myself and how I'm able to get my emotion out and how I'm able to function, really. So I started to write about what was going on, and through that act, part of it being cathartic, but the other part of it was exploratory. It was leading me down roads where I could say, oh, but what about this? What if I went down here and learned something? One of the best people I met early on was Dr. Alexandra Ginty. And she was brilliant with me. We were sitting in a coffee shop in Oakville. I just met her at that moment, and she pretty much said to me, she said, Don, you just keep doing what you're doing. You know, as long as you show up for Kate, that's what matters. Now, Alex herself is a breast cancer thriver, as we would like to call them. We'll come to that later.
You don't like the word survivor?
I don't.
Okay, Kate, what don't you like about that term? Because that's what everybody says.
Yeah, no, it hit me right after diagnosis, was this label that we're given of being a survivor. And the reality is, yeah, you're surviving something here, but actually there's such, for me anyway, there was a huge amount of transformation and recreation. And so we adopted this kind of terminology from good friends of us, thrivers, or survivorship, which is sort of a broader term, really, to kind of speak to what is this thing that you're left with at the end, and how do you make the most of it, and what do you do?
You're presumably referring to more than just a physical transformation, which obviously happens when you undergo surgery.
Yeah.
You're talking about the whole thing, emotional, intellectual.
Yeah.
Well, let me pick up on that in terms of your relationship, because obviously for the two of you in this marriage, you are, you know, let's make the checklist here. You're lovers, you're husband and wife, you're parents together, you know, you've got your various professional engagements, but now you're caregiver and patient as well. How did that change things? Don't look at him, I'm asking you.
I'm not helping.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, one of the things that was fortunate about our situation is, in many ways, Don fulfilled the role of caregiver in our relationship in some ways before I got sick. So he had some skills in this area, and that helped, quite frankly, because it wasn't as much of a shock for us to almost have it. It wasn't really a role reversal in that sense. There was some caregiving going on in our lives and what we do. And so I think that paved the way for it to be a bit smoother in some ways.
But
right?
caregiving is something that you do for your children, or maybe for aged parents. You don't think of caregiving as something you need to do for a 36-year-old spouse.
No.
So what did it do to your marriage?
Especially not when you're 22 years older than that spouse.
I wasn't going to say, but since you put it out there.
No, but it's relevant, because I mean the expectations of being thrust into a caregiver role quite naturally would have more naturally been presumed to have been her.
Other way around.
Yeah, in my encroaching decrepitude. But I think what Katie references is the fact that I'd been working from home for since 2003, and Katie was still working out in the real world. So I had some experience with the kids. However, the expectation changed in so much as we had developed it was a partnership, right? It really was more of a partnership than anything else. Apart from those times during chemo when you were so horrendously ill that I really had to pick up pretty much everything.
What's the most fabulously profane thing you said to him when you were retching from chemo? That's okay, we can beep it, go ahead.
Oh, there are so many moments. He was up on a roof. Random story, he was up on the roof one day. It was halfway through chemo, there was a storm outside, and something needed to be fixed on the roof, okay? And so the storm came, the lightning was out there, and he started to come down the ladder, and I remember opening the door and saying, get your butt back up that ladder and onto that roof and fix that thing. Do you think I care about a little lightning after what I've just been through? So yeah, there's lots of that.
How'd you take that?
You left out several adjectives. Several, which I could fill in, but I won't.
Any of them start with the letter F?
Yeah, there was about 4 of those in a row, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I actually ended up laughing about it. And I write about it in the book because it was one of the lighter moments in the thing, and it did kind of put it into perspective. And I was saying, you know, like, seriously, Kate, I could die here. I mean, I could get struck by lightning and die. But yeah, I didn't. And I survived. But
I'm not going to let this marriage thing go yet, though, because, you know, obviously it is a big thing for people who've got busy lives in cities and dealing with young kids and jobs and the whole 9 yards to, as they say, try to preserve whatever magic there is in a relationship. And, you know, I mean, you haven't got the luxury of worrying about preserving the magic in a relationship when she's retching after going through chemo and when you're trying to figure out what your role is in all this.
Yeah.
So how has it transformed your marital relationship?
Let me come back to that, because it really, it does, irrevocably. I'm a big fan of Gary Larson and Far Side cartoons, and one of his favorites that I use often in presentations is the two deer standing in the forest on their hind legs, as deers are wont to do, and one of them has a big bullseye right on his chest. And the one deer says to the other, says, "Well, bummer birthmark, Hal." But that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like when you're in the position that I was in. And so you do become the target of some pretty horrendous commentary. And I'm not even sure Katie would remember some of this when she was in the depths of illness and so on. Some of it leaves a mark. But the thing that I think I talk about often is this notion of finding beauty in the wreckage. It's very important that as you approach this thing, that you adopt an attitude that says it really can't be as bad as it seems to be. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of carrying on if it really is this painful and this gruesome, and if there's no hope for anything other than this? Why would you stick around? Why would you put up with this? What I experienced was that we redirected a lot of our passions and energies in different directions. Were we as physical as we had once been? No, of course not. You know, it took a long time to recover, and there's a fragility about that. Was I as as outgoing, and were we in a position where we could go party off and so on? Well, no,
clearly not.
We weren't.
Yeah.
At the same time, Katie reinvented her life, which by extension reinvented our lives, the lives of those two little boys up there and me, in terms of diet, in terms of our expectations of our housing, in terms of our financials, in terms of what we expect from material things. The drive that we had to gain material things virtually disappeared.
Because it's not important.
Doesn't matter.
Not life or death, is it?
No, it really
But let me,
doesn't matter.
Katie, I'll throw the cliche at you and you tell me whether this is true. You know, we would, of course, watching this from the outside, like to believe that the two of you, having gone through hell together, are now, you know, just much more deeply, inextricably bound and loving every moment of life together. And, you know, you've emerged from the hell stronger. I mean, is any of that true?
No. No, and you know, the irony of the book actually is that, and Don reaching out, which was such an important part of what he did for us, was how far is too far when it comes to reaching out and blogging about our life, right? That caused a serious amount of friction for us.
Cathartic for him.
Yeah, but how
kind
much,
of an invasion of your privacy.
Like, just a minute, how much are we sharing here, right? So in the early days, there was some editing that went on, for sure. But we have relaxed. Both of us have relaxed around that, I would say, in large part. And you know, I think the other thing that is really that never goes away, it will never change, is this notion that you can't possibly you really at the end of the day, you cannot understand what this is like, and that doesn't really go away.
Right.
So it's coming to terms with these things, and it's turning towards them, you know, every day, and sort of beginning to get comfortable with them and welcome them a little bit. Otherwise, you can just tear yourself up.
In our last minute here, I want to ask the question that, of course, everybody wants to know now, which is, how are you?
Awesome.
You are, eh?
Better than ever. Thriving. Better than ever. In fact, I was probably surviving my life before I got cancer. After cancer, I have never felt better physically, emotionally, or spiritually, actually. So, yeah.
I'm presuming you wouldn't wish that you had it because it's a hell of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But you've found the silver lining, is that the way to put it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, in some ways, maybe I did need to go through this. In some ways, maybe I did. But no, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it's a gift wrapped in barbed wire, is what I often say. So, yeah.
What a great metaphor. I want to thank both of you for coming in and sharing these very personal details of both of your lives, which I have no doubt, but it will help many others who find themselves as part of those, what did you say, wrapped in barbed wire?
Gift wrapped in barbed wire.
Who find themselves with a similar gift wrapped in barbed wire. That's the name of the book is Riding Shotgun, a book for men and the partners they care for. Don and Kate Kerr. Thanks a lot, you two.
Thank
Thank you, Steve.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit TVO.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.